are going to talk about what is business communication, what is the flow, how does it flow from top to bottom or bottom to top, what are the types of business communication, and finally we will talk about the importance of business communication, including the modes of business communication. So, before I talk about business communication, let's think about the word business itself. I'm sure many of you would be studying business, as a MBA student, as an BBA student, or many of you would be studying commerce or maybe studying any other program. Doesn't matter. If you are studying engineering, even then eventually you are going to enter the world of business, right? You may be entering into a company while taking up a job, or you may start your own venture. Irrespective of this, you all are going to be entering into business world soon, right, as students. It means it's very essential that you understand what is business and then link the communication to the business. Okay, so I will spend a minute or two on business term itself, and then we will talk about business communication. Business, as is been explained by many and the literature suggests, is basically any economic activity. Any activity which is carried over with the purpose of making money, earning profits, and in continuity. So there are three things in it. It's an economic activity, right? Any exchange, any production, any manufacturing, any service, any trade, any commerce. It's an economic activity, right? It is carried with the purpose of making money. You may not end up earning profits, but the objective of carrying the activity is to earn profit, right? And the third thing I said, it is something which is carried in continuity. The intentions are to continue with the economic activity for long. You do not foresee the closure soon. So these are the three things which defines as a business. So when I say it's economic activity, there's a sale, purchase, give and take of products, services. We pay salaries to employees, we get their services, they work for us. We pay salary to laborers, they work for us and they produce goods for us. Then we sell it to the buyers. They give us either money or they give us promise to pay in future. Same way, business has to buy raw material or take services from others which they are going to pay in future, right? So there's so much exchange. Business has to file tax records or taxation requirements. Business has to comply with other legal requirement, be it pollution, be it any kind of legal requirement. So this example I am quoting to help you understand that a business, any business entity, a business is actually dealing with numerous entities. So many people, either as an individual, so many organizations, right? Either they are directly serving the business or related to business, or indirectly, influencing or affecting the business operations. So any business entity needs to deal with so many people, so many organizations during the course of business activity, economic activities, to carry those economic activities, right? We have employees, we have senior management, junior management, middle management, we have suppliers, old ones, new ones, we have suppliers within the state, within the country, then overseas, we have buyers within the state, within the city, then overseas, So you can imagine, we have to deal with tax authorities, local authorities, we have to deal with international organizations, World Trade Organization, many such bodies. We have to deal with bankers, we have to deal with all the lenders, borrowers. So there are so much, there are so many people involved in those business activities, and business as an entity, as a unit, need to communicate with every single individual and the organization, we have taken in this example, right? I hope I could set the pretext right to you that business, involves interaction with people within the entity, within the business entity itself or outside the world, both. So it means there's internal as well as external communication required all through the time, all through the day, whenever any business activity is carried over. You think about even the small sabji wala which comes to your colony to sell sabji, right, to sell any small thing. Even he needs to know how to behave, how to communicate the price of a particular vegetable you are asking. He need to be confident, he need to be coherent what he is saying. If he is quoting this X vegetable is for 100 rupees per kg, his facial expressions, his eyes should actually be coherent to what he is saying, what he is uttering. And and whatever he is not saying, even that should be coherent to his behavior or the expectations of the buyer, right? So this communication is, this business communication is not only for the multinational companies or the companies which are operating at the international level, national level. No, the business communication is as much equally required for a small vegetable vendor, to a tea stall, to a mid-size company, a mid-cap company, to a large cap company, right? So this is the context, this is the pretext in fact I want to talk. Now let's talk about what is business communication. Once we know the business, once we know the context of the business communication, let's now talk about what is business communication. Business communication is basically sharing of information between people within the organization that is performed for the commercial benefit of the organization. So I am putting emphasis on for the commercial benefit of the organization. Why? You are getting me right. I started the conversation today that business is basically any activity which is carried over with the purpose of making money. We want to get commercial benefit, right? So our efforts, including the communication, our planning, our organizing, staffing, all those managerial functions, right, should be towards that direction and including the communication. So the business communication should also be intending to share the information between people within the organization and even outside with the purpose that that information sharing leads to commercial benefit to the organization, right? So there is a clear-cut relationship between the objective of business itself with the communication, right? Actually there's a goal congruence. We call it as a goal congruence. So the goal of an organization is to maximize profit, to earn profits, the commercial benefit component here. So is the objective of the business communication. Now this business communication actually involves constant flow of information within and outside the company, outside the firm. Okay, and the corporations which are large, having large number of people and at various level of hierarchy within the organizational structure, they actually struggle. They struggle to manage business communication effectively, right? So the larger the size of the business, the organizational structure, we expect more problem, dealing with effective business communication. The smaller the size of the business, likelihood is, it's not mandatory, mind my words. I'm saying likelihood is this, that the organizations which are higher, which are having very high number of employees or the structure or the hierarchy, they may find difficulty in having effective communication, the business communication, than the organizations which are smaller in size or have a lean structure, state structure. More the hierarchies, more problem in business communication. Okay. Effective business communication is actually that how employees and management, they interact among each other so that the organizational goals could be achieved, right? So the actually activities carried by the people, the employees of a company, should be aligned to the core company values, to the vision and the mission of the business. For that, business communication really plays a very important role. Now, the effective business communication is essential. From this discussion, whatever I have discussed so far, we are very much clear that the success and the growth of every business is actually very much dependent on the effective communication. And unlike everyday's communication, the business communication is always goal oriented. We have a specific agenda which we want to communicate through a particular medium of communication we are using. For that particular piece of information, the agenda could be that the sales targets have been revised, the budget has been revised, this is the budget, that is the meeting time, this is the meeting time, so many things. But every business communication document is basically, or even in verbal one, purposefully has some goal, some objective within the communication to be achieved, right? So we want to communicate that goal through the communication, so which means the communication is always goal oriented, right? Now, the flow of communication in any business could be in three directions. There are three ways, three types of flows which can happen in any business, and all businesses need not to have all the three ones. So we have flat organizations, we have all kind of organizations. First is upward. The flow is upward. So the communication which a subordinate or a junior actually gives or shares with the senior, with next level, is upward, right? Let's say if there is a company ABC and company has a sales team headed by a sales manager. So there are 18 employees and the sales manager is the 19th person in the team. So anybody, if all those 18 people are at the same level, sales executive, let's say, so anybody amongst those 18 communicating to the sales manager any agenda, any target, any update, any meeting outcome, etc., etc. So that is basically upward communication. So sales executive communicating the update about a sales meeting or outcome of a sales meeting with the sales manager. So it is upward, right? So sales executive to sales manager. Now the downward flow would be if sales manager is communicating to the sales executive, right? So sales manager is like, let's say, is communicating to all the sales manager or even a single sales executive, about the future sales meeting scheduled, the time, the venue, the agenda, etc., etc. So the communication from senior to the subordinate is downward. Communication from the subordinate to the senior is upward, right? And then we have lateral one, the flat. So within the sales team, I said there are 18 sales executives, we assumed in the example. So if there are 18 executives working in a one particular sales team of your company, And if those 18 people are communicating to each of them, right, or either 2 people, 4 people, 8 people, any number, they are communicating with each other, that is lateral. How come? Let's take this example further. Let's say this sales team is into the sales of RO system, the water purifiers, right? And the sales team, they cater to different locations within Delhi, for example. Few are covering North Delhi, within North Delhi there are few people, within South Delhi there are few people. So let's say one person was to attend one sales request. He or she was supposed to give a demo, so he or she could not reach on time because of any traffic jam or some issue. So he communicates to the other person in the same team to reach out to the client if possible, and which he agrees. So this communication is happening within the sales executive, the team of 18 people, right? So they messaged, maybe let's say on a group, and said this is a problem I am facing, and anybody who's close by can reach in next 15 minutes to the client, so would appreciate. So this communication is at literal level, at the same level, right? Same way, if we have 5 sales managers, there are the whole country is divided into 5 areas, and there are 5 managers. So those 5 sales managers are at same level. So the communication between those 5 sales managers is lateral. Communication between these 18 sales executive is lateral. So these are the examples which I am trying to help you understand. I am using to help you understand the flow of communication within a business organization. Then I am going to talk about the type of communication. So first of all, on the basis of organizational relationship, we have formal and informal communication. Formal communication is, let's say there's a agenda for the meeting circulated. This is a formal communication. Let's say minutes of the meetings after the meeting is over are circulated. Even that is a formal communication. There's a letter of appreciation sent from senior to the junior. Even that is formal communication. What will be the informal? So you just pick up a phone and say, buddy, let's meet tomorrow. So this is informal communication. Let's meet tomorrow at any time. This is informal. This is not formal communication. So it's not that always only the oral communication is informal. Sometimes oral could be informal or formal even. Let's say I am speaking in a public gathering, right? I am not writing. So even but that is a formal communication. Okay. So based on the relationship, generally people at the same level, the lateral communication is generally informal, right? And the communication amongst the senior to junior is generally formal, even in the verbal sense. We will talk about the types later. Okay, so this is first thing. The second is on the basis of flow. We just spoke about the flow. Flow could be vertical, as I said, could be horizontal, could be diagonal. So any kind of crossword, right? So vertical, as we know, vertical, so y-axis, right? So this is how you should be remembering, from top to bottom or bottom to top. The vertical will cover both. So if the communication is flowing from the top management to the bottom, the middle management, or from middle to the lower management, or vice versa, it is vertical. Crosswise, the communication is happening both ways, all directions, diagonal. It is flowing from middle to top, top to middle, and in multi-direction. So that is diagonal. If the horizontal, it is at the same level, flat. So the example we took of sales executive, 18 people in the team, if they are communicating amongst each other, that is an example of horizontal, right? So these are the types of communication. Then on the basis of expression, we have oral, we have written, and then we can use gestures. Okay, so oral, as I said, we are not using any written communication. Oral means through spoken language. It could be any language, English, Hindi, Punjabi, Urdu, Marathi, Bengali, any language. So we are speaking orally, right? So this is based on how I am expressing. I am just using words. So it could be, I am sitting next, my office is next to my senior. So I just, peeped into the door of my senior saying, sir, I am leaving for the day, I have some urgency. This was an informal communication, but communicated orally, right? I pick up a phone, I am senior, I am a sales manager. I picked up a phone and asked my junior to come to my office for a quick meeting, for a review, right? So that is an oral communication. I just did not use any mail or note or any written notice or circular to share that. That is oral communication. Then we have written one. Written is the most formal communication, most reliable communication, and most safe communication. This is how we say in the business. This is the safe communication, the safest one, in fact. So written communication, as the name suggests very clearly, means we are communicating, we are expressing, we are sharing information through written means. Either email, notice, memo, circular, so any such means, the brochure, pamphlet, catalog, that they all are written communication. Even a PowerPoint presentation, PPTs we call nowadays, right? So that is written communication. Then we have gesture, the last one here. So we do not speak, we do not write, but we use eyes expression, body language. For example, I performed very well. My senior came, he looked at me, I am working very hard. Without uttering a word, he or she just showed me thumbs up, which means appreciated my efforts. That's all. My boss is very angry on me, but he did not. He controlled himself. He didn't say anything, but he showed me eyes, right? He showed me face. So those are gestures. So that is another way of, so on this basis of expression, this is the type of communication. Now in the last leg of this talk, we will talk about medium of business communication. So friends, as I said, there are many means of communication, there are many medium we use. Medium means something which help us to communicate, to share our information or idea or thought, right? So the first thing is memos. Memos are issued within the organizations, right? Not for outsiders. The memos are used for internal communication. So this is one thing. Then emails, the most common medium nowadays is email, right? Especially after COVID, this email communication has become very, very common, and rather more common and reliable actually. Even the court of law now accepts email as a formal document. So emails have become, they have become acceptable even in the court of law. So emails, as we know, we use any email account and we write, so it could be from top to bottom or bottom to top. It could be both ways. So any directional, so it could be multi-directional even. One email could go from a junior to seniors reporting about something, reporting update, reporting any event. It could be any direction from senior to junior, or it could be multi-directional, right? Notices are always meant for a particular purpose. Notices are not always for 100% population. Most of the times notices are intended with some particular objective. So that's another way of communicating information within the organizations. Circulars are wider wider publication of information. So circulars are used, another medium in the organization to communicate anything. We have brochures. Brochures could be used within the organizations or outside organization. Generally, brochures are used to share the update of any event or any organizational update. In-house magazines are there, and we have any oral communication other than above written communication mediums. We may use oral communication.